And never say sorry unless you mean it. Exactly, dude. Exactly. Let's watch it, though. Let's watch it. Thank God. I was worried I was gonna have to stop React because I can't stop hiccuping. Alright, 3, 2, 1, boom.
Welcome back, guys. I've had a lot of people tagging me too. Kaylee Mills apology over on Twitter. Thank you all for the tags. We're here over on the Genshin Impact subreddit, though, from this post from 14 hours ago titled Kaylee Mills Public Apology, because the first thing I want to show you is an example of the top comments here. For example, this one that says,
"Oh no, the Reddit police. This apology was not earnest." By the way, I did not read this. I do not know anything about this, but I already know there's people like, she didn't mean this with her whole heart. She's a piece of shit, and I don't care if she said sorry.
It sounds to me like she had to make a public apology.
Yep, there it is!
She may or may not have gotten a stern warning by her overlords. This is what makes the most sense. Because the apology isn't even genuine. Going by her wordage, she's, quote, not sorry she did it, she's sorry she got caught, unquote. Got caught, unquote. As the saying goes. Another top response saying, quote, although I was far from the first person to make a response, unquote. Yeah, we know. Ruining your own apology in 2 sentences by deflecting like this is wild. In other words... Yeah,
to be fair, I think that is also not good. Deflecting in your apology right at the start is a bit strong.
Top responses are all people calling her out, basically saying in their own words that they don't view this apology as genuine in any way, shape, or form. So you could say it's not really going well. Of course, we're going to read the full apology as well, but really quick, how did we get here? Well, as we discussed the other day, it looks like Kaylee Mills had publicly tweeted at Jacob Takanashi back in 2022, where Jacob Takanashi was talking about a Japanese company that he's working with to dub a bunch of romance manga and visual novels for YouTube online, and that he's looking for an English-speaking female voice talent. If anyone's interested, to drop their demos below, and he'll forward that stuff to the hiring director, to which Kaylee Mills said, hi Jacob, I speak quite a bit of Japanese and have done heaps of dubbing and other character work. Thanks for your consideration. But then, fast forward to 2025, March 26th, where Jacob Takanashi announces that Hoyo has hired him as the role of Kenichi, and Kaylee Mills had a different tune, saying, this is actually kinda diabolical. If you need the money, at least take the role uncredited. This just comes off as an easy cash grab for clout. It's not a good look. To which...
I don't think that her being in the loop with talking and submitting a... what is it called? Like a VA portfolio, and then 3 years later backstabbing them is considered backstabbing. I think it's not a good it's not a good show of her character, that's for sure, but I also don't think it's like, it's not like they were friends, right? Like, I don't know.
She got this community note that reads,
I think it's fucked up.
The voice actor Nathan Noakes, fellow VA Jacob Takanashi, who is a Japan-based VA, had no knowledge of the strike or the circumstance of which the role was being recasted. Now, really hoping you're familiar with this whole strike situation or collective work refusal situation. Because if you're not, there's like, yeah, even more to recap that we're not going to recap here. It'd be way too redundant. But I can give a very quick TLDR. And if you want the actual fine details, please check out the playlist I have of all my videos covering this situation. I'll link it in the description for you. All those videos combined have like easily over 2 million plus views. So thank you all for your continued support during this ongoing coverage. Okay, so on to the TLDR. And if you're familiar with this stuff, feel free to skip to about the 3-minute and 45-second mark. A bunch of entitled VAs from the SAG-AFTRA union claim to be striking against Hoyoverse, demanding what they're calling protections against AI.
Fucking
they tried to get the fandom and the internet to fight on their behalf, but people looked into this over the course of many months and found out that the AI claim was really just a Trojan horse. As the union...
And I got told off very severely, saying that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to, like, VA stuff, and I said to myself, okay, that's a fair criticism. However, do we really trust the VAs that have had troubles in the past? Told off by who? I don't want to name names, but like there were quite a few people that during the first time that I ever heard about this, they said, oh, well, Alana, you don't know how this works and you shouldn't comment on it. And I said, well, I mean, that's fair, but like we should also wait for more information to come out. And now look what's happening.
Union VAs had other goals that they were not telling the public, such as trying to flip all Hoyoverse games to be Union-only games, which could lead to the non-Union talent being forcibly removed from those games, and their roles then being taken from them and given to Union VAs.
Having monopolies over an entire company or multiple companies is not great.
Many of the union executives and members also making disparaging remarks to people who are not a part of their union. On top of that, it also turned out that these union VAs were lying about the strike and that it was actually what's being called a collective work refusal. Well, the VA for Kenichi and Genshin Impact refused to work for around 6 months to stand with those union VAs. Hoyo eventually replaced this guy 6 months later, and Jacob Takanashi was the replacement VA that they hired.
Yeah.
When Jacob posted about his new role, a bunch of the union VAs and their bootlickers openly harassed him, said they were blacklisting him, and a bunch of other terrible stuff, including Kaylee, as you can see. And when fandoms pushed back against the toxic VAs and also pointed out their lies,
This wouldn't have happened if Kaylee wasn't still working and wasn't the poster child voice actor for the very company that people were boycotting. I genuinely don't think this would have been such a nothing burger, but the fact that she kind of like Streisand affected herself into this position and kind of Kayla isn't the one? Oh, it's not? I thought it was the one. Is Kaylee a different person? Oh, never mind then. Okay, well, it's Karina. See, I knew there was a K in there. I got confused. My bad. Sorry, chat.
VAs and their supporters then attacked the fans.
Yeah.
Now returning to Kaylee as we finish up the context on the way to reading her apology.
I'm not great with names.
Yesterday.
I apologize.
Kaylee Mills had also gotten backlash for this comment where she said, "I guarantee you Ka-Ching," that's the character she voices on Genshin, "would be doing the work to educate people and do what's best for the people." This being just one example of many, many examples where a lot of these VAs have been gaslighting the public, acting like what's in their best interest is really what's best for everyone, which has been verifiably incorrect. This was another take that got Kaylee immense backlash, so much that if I recall, she deleted this entire tweet. Immense backlash.
I guarantee you Ka-Ching would be doing the work to educate people and do what's the best for people. What does that remind me of? Sonic would stand for Palestine! No, he would stand for Israel! It's the same vibes, bro. I hate that so fucking much, man. It's a fictional character. It's not real.
Best interest is really what's best for everyone, which has been verifiably incorrect. This was another take that got Kaylee immense backlash, so much that if I recall, she deleted this entire tweet, where she was essentially trying to justify Karina, the VA for Paimon, and someone who seems to be in their clique of VAs, continuing to work on Genshin, which goes against their strike, but trying to justify her doing that while justifying their attacks on Jacob Takanashi, saying, "Jacob's done very little VO work, so it isn't what he's relying on to pay the bills. For all..."
That is such a terrible excuse. Are you... so, let me get this straight. It's okay because it's her full-time job, but because he's taking a small role for money, it's not okay? So the guy that works at an evil scientist's lab and, like, cuts up innocent people and makes zombies out them, it's fine, but, like, the person that does it part-time and, like, brings in, like, pizza delivery is somehow a million times worse. I know it's not a great analogy, but it's just like, what the fuck, man? Like, if you're gonna paint this as, like, this evil, horrible job, and that you're only doing it for the money, like, you can't morally grandstand and then say, like, oh, yeah, it's because I really need the money. If I don't have the money, I can't pay for my medical bills, man.
We know his wife's the breadwinner. Either way, they bought a house recently, so I doubt it was a necessary job for survival. So that take was already terrible by default, but the part where she brings in his personal matters is something that specifically also got her even more backlash, making an already terrible post even worse. I think there were a few more things she said about Jacob, you know, bad things obviously, but you get the point. So skipping ahead now to a video I made 2 days ago, this was another important update, and then we'll take a look at the apology right after this. You've pretty much got all the context more or less. On the Kaylee part, at least. So on the game Nikke, Kaylee voices the character Rappy, who I think people said is like the main character. I don't play Nikke, but I believe that's what people said. It's like either a main character or the main character of the game. And a few days ago, they had a live stream for 2.5, I think it was, like an event going on for 2.5. And on the live stream, when Kaylee Mills' character came in, and you can see it says Kaylee Mills right here, the chat was filled with people roasting her, mocking her, demanding that she gets replaced, throwing tomatoes at her, just all kinds of stuff like that. I'm skipping through my coverage.
Holy shit!
I'm off screen, you know, like that's me from 2 days ago. This is me now. Sorry if that looks weird, but you get the point. So, as mentioned, the chat was just filled with people demanding that she gets recast.
She's unprofessional. Recast her. I think it's a valid criticism. Okay. It's not like they're calling her names. They're just saying recast. Yeah.
Okay. With all that context, we're here over on Kaylee's apology from April 21st, yesterday. She says, "To be honest, I have been advised against getting further involved in the situation at all, but I feel like this is the right thing to do. So here we are. First of all, I realized my criticism of Jacob should never have been public, although I was far from the first person to make a response. Further involving fans was not necessary and only caused more stress."
I like that. I didn't do it first, but like, there's no but, bitch!
Right. I also apologize for bringing up the public tweet I saw in passing about him purchasing a home. It was wrong of me to use that as an argument, that he didn't need this one job to make ends meet. I was...
Wait. The guy bought a house, so that makes... That's wild. Wait, I thought you kind of need a home to, like, live in. Like, what if you want to buy a house? Does that make it not okay?
Frustrated trying to explain a point, and honestly, none of that is any of my business. I don't want it to be, and it didn't matter to the point I was trying to make at all. I did send him a message privately on April 2nd to apologize about getting the public further involved and explain why we were upset. Also, that at least personally, there are no feelings of hatred or any hopes of ill will.
I like that you publicly denounced him, but privately apologized. That's kind of funny. It's like after the damage is done, you want to apologize in private, but not say like, "Hey guys, I might have been a little bit too harsh on this guy," and let it sit, you know? Did they delete the public denouncement post? Well, regardless, even if they did, you should still say it if you mean it. Again, this kind of seems like it's a forced apology.
Personally or professionally.
To them, to the guy.
Yeah, it sure means a lot when you say that privately, but then publicly had
that's what I'm
definitely
saying.
Make it seem like there's ill will there and hatred there, but okay. Or any hopes of ill will, personally or professionally. I do not know him, but I thought about what I would do if a friend or close colleague did something I found hurtful to our community, and I would have indeed not responded publicly. I would have confronted them directly. Although I originally had a much longer statement, and I'm interested in clearing up more of the misinformation I see about our refusal to work versus the official SAG strike, etc. I don't want to further involve any specific actor. The overall situation is so much bigger and more nuanced than this, and I hope in the future we can have a better conversation. In the meantime, I'm doing the work behind the scenes to try and support my community the best that I can. In the immediate responses, you can actually see that she added on to her apology from just 3 hours ago.
Mugen and Tectone responded.
I was saying, me not being the first to say something doesn't make it more okay. I'm sorry that was clumsily worded. But then we got a bit of duality here from Mugen and Tectone. Mugen saying, "This is a step in the right direction. Other VAs who lashed out publicly and unprofessionally should follow. However, it'll take a long time before any sort of public trust is restored. Y'all had many chances to take a step back during the chaos, but chose only to double down."
Very, very solid response. Very neutral. I would have been like, "What the fuck? You apologized in private, but you wouldn't take it down, or you doubled down multiple times." Yeah, again, it's just, it doesn't seem very sincere. I'm saying that the apology is genuine, sure. I don't know. I don't live in her head. I don't live in her head, and I don't have her thoughts, but it's like, I don't know. I just don't buy it. It's a trust thing for sure.
That's gonna be a yikes for me, dog, and posting this extremely cursed picture.
That is terrifying.
Other
Please
comments
stop.
right at the top. read, "This is a good first step. However, it's going to take a real long time for people to forgive. But I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that at least this is one step in the right direction." And another similarly also saying it's a step in the right direction. However, other comments were a bit more critical. For example, this one that says, "We all know you're only apologizing because you got wrecked and destroyed because you were a terrible person. Any apology after something like that just seems disingenuous and insincere. No thanks. You should just fade away into obscurity. And I hope all of you insufferable toxic VAs trying to cancel each other get replaced by AI. The damage is done, and you got what you wanted, and this apology sounds like BS spewed for legal reasons." Right,
you don't know that. You don't know that for sure. Again, I think people are allowed to criticize and say it feels fake, but to know and exactly know for sure, it's just like, you don't know that.
That another one saying,
people did that with Asman about the whole Palestine and saying inferior whatever. I'm paraphrasing, but I don't remember exactly what he said. People said that too.
So you're not apologizing for the things you said. You apologize for the fact that you made it public, and your justification for having made it public was that you weren't the first person to make a response.
Yeah, that's very bad phrasing.
Yeah, nah. I can't support someone who thinks double standards are a good thing. And if Genshin/Hoyoverse truly was going to use AI, y'all swear they might use, they would have used it already. But guess which character was still voiceless during Lantern Rite out of respect? There's also an immense irony with that. They'll be like, "Oh yes, they just want to replace all of us with AI." But they're literally mad and harassing Jacob Takanashi because he got hired. And guess what? He's not an AI, he's a human. In other words, Hoyoverse hired a human actor to voice their character. They didn't just replace John Patnoid, the prior VA, with AI. But hey, they'll still try and find a reason to harass Jacob Takanashi for replacing this guy who refused to work for.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. If they really didn't give a fuck, they would have just used AI and not spent money on an actual person. Yeah, I didn't even think about it that way.
Like 6 months. Oh, very wait, weird. He's not a part of our clique. You're not supposed to just hire someone from outside our clique to replace us. We're refusing to work for 6 months. It's not supposed to work like that, shocked Pikachu. Now you're undermining our manipulative Trojan horse strike. How diabolical. Here are a few more comments to take a look at, and
it's definitely
I'll share
misguided.
My opinion right now. Of course, as I mentioned before, form your own opinion, but here's mine. I do not believe this is a sincere apology. I think it's very, very much suspicious that this apology comes 2 days after, I think like 2 days, around 2 days after the Nikkei live stream that we discussed earlier in the video. To me, it really comes off like Kaylee may have thought it was bad enough when she got backlash from the Hoyoverse community, but maybe in her mind she was thinking like, oh, I still have the Nikkei community who's going to have my back. And then when she sees that she's also getting...
Nikkei doesn't give a fuck about anything except their waifu's tits. Are you joking? If anything, I actually think a lot of people that enjoy Nikkei like the Japanese voice acting more than the English voice acting. I mean, besides the tits, but you know, that's besides the point.
Some backlash from the Nikkei community too. She's like, okay, I gotta do something about this. Gotta do something. Let's make an apology. Now, I'm not just saying this because of those reasons either. It's very important to understand that voice actors make a significant amount of their income from convention appearances where they do things like signing autographs, selling merchandise and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, that therefore then means that they're going to need people who want to buy their autographs, signing events, you know, want pictures with them, everything like that. In other words, if Kaylee Mills has upset a lot of people online and lost a lot of people who otherwise would have enjoyed meeting her at conventions and buying merch and, you know, helping her get financial income that way, she's becoming more and more desperate to make what could be seen as a fake apology to try and win some goodwill back because her financial situation really depends on it. This meaning that there's a financial incentive for her to come out with damage control on top of it just being an appeal to the public goodwill. And
can you explain why it's okay to work with Nikkei, who isn't a union, but Genshin Hoyo bad? That's actually another really good point. See, I don't know all these ins and outs about the voice actors, but that is kind of weird that she still works for Nikkei, but Genshin and Hoyoverse being an... I don't know. Again, I'm not well versed in this whole drama, but it just strikes me as disingenuous.
And an attempt at, like, what's it called? Putting out the fire, so to speak. that's like more of the behind the scenes stuff. There's the other obvious part as well, which is she probably doesn't want to get recast as Kaching and Genshin and Rappy from Nikkei. Another factor could be, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she also does Twitch streaming. This is another thing that would rely on having people who enjoy her content. And if everyone's upset at her and doesn't want to support her, this again could be another factor into her making a potentially fake apology. However, I also have what in my opinion is even more evidence supporting what I'm saying here, especially the timing part and the whole Nikkei part, as that takes us over to, can you guess? Can you guess where? Blue Sky. I figured you guys might guess that.
Every fucking time, man. No, I need to tweet my thoughts without people criticizing me. I gotta run to Blue Sky.
One, because I've been digging up a lot of stuff on Blue Sky lately, as you've probably noticed from my prior videos. Hopefully you've been watching those. Hopefully you've been enjoying those. But now we're going to take a look at this one from Kaylee Mills from 11 days ago. You can see she had said, "Just wanted to hop on to say thank you for the well wishes. I hope everyone has been protecting their peace as necessary. I'm doing okay. My Twitter is temporarily deactivated. I didn't make a statement because I didn't want to feel obligated to respond to anything else." And then saying this, "I have lots of thoughts and feelings, but I'm ruminating on them while the fire dies down. I may post my statement at a later time if it still seems like the right thing to do." That was back on April 10th. So you're telling me that 11 days after she made the Blue Sky post that we just read, that's when she decides to make this apology. Conveniently.
Okay, there's even more to this. Man, oh man. Okay, never mind it. Again, it's just little things. It's the little things. When you... And why do you go to Blue Sky to admit to this? If you want to even fake apologize, like I'm just using sociopathic logic. If you want people to think that your lie, that your apology is real and you're lying the whole time, why would you go on another public platform and do something that contradicts and also makes it harder for you to be believable that your apology is sincere? I don't get it!
2 days after the Nikkei live stream.
Yeah, self-reporting!
Even backlash from the Nikkei community. She just so happened to feel like, oh, this is the right thing to do now. Yeah, I wonder why. For the record, and I'm not sure if this is really significant at all, but I'll mention it just because it is additional context. She only posted her apology on Twitter. She did not post to Blue Sky. Again, I'm not sure if that has any relevance or not. Make of that part what you will. And now I'd like to go back to the Genshin Impact subreddit to the apology post that we were reading, because let's play a little game. Let's have fun and see how long it takes to go through the top comments and see ones that are supportive of her, that believe this is a good apology. Once again on that post, sorting by best. I believe we read the first 2 comments already. So continuing. I'm not checking out all the responses too, you know. Let's see just like the base comments. So to summarize, "I'm sorry I insulted you publicly. I should have done it in private. Is that right? I know I shouldn't publicly harass Jake."
Again, this also, I have to play devil's advocate for this. The thought policing is not okay. But there's a big but to this. You can't also know what she would have done if there wasn't like a Blue Sky or whatever. It's like, if something happened with me, I wouldn't go on Twitter or Blue Sky. I have a Blue Sky account, but I don't use it because I just took the name because otherwise people might use my name, but I feel like I'd be smarter. I wouldn't like make it public or known that I think otherwise, or like make like these half-hearted excuses. It's like, well, if I only apologizing because I thought that it would be the right thing to do, but now it's not okay to do now because I'm losing money or whatever. It doesn't win you over. The smarter people filter themselves out and they'll be like, oh, well, you're a dumb bitch anyway. I didn't want to engage with this, even if you apologize and I thought it was sincere.
Jacob, but I was not the first one. Lol, they can never fully accept accountability. 1,000 excuses for all they do. Loved when on Nikkei stream, everyone was asking for a recast of her. Honest.
I didn't start dogpiling, I just joined it.
Honestly, this feels more like a PR safe reflection than a real apology. She buries the actual "I'm sorry" under a paragraph of, I was advised not to speak here, but I am. Like,
you should never apologize and then say but. I learned that, like, when I was, I don't know, like 10 or 12, and I got into an argument with my parents, and I had to say I'm sorry. You know, the moral of my high ground of, like, they're my parents and I'm the child. My parents taught me real quick, you don't say I'm sorry, but you say I'm sorry, and then you might continue after the apology has settled or something, and express that, like, oh, well, I feel like this. You don't say it with a fucking but. Your butt's on your butt, not your fucking face.
Like, just say what you did wrong and own it.
Yeah.
Also, bringing up the private DM is
take
weirdly
accountability, exactly.
Yeah, it's something these VAs love, right? They're very performative people. If it was private, why mention it now? Just let the action speak for itself. And saying the situation is nuanced without clarifying anything feels like she's trying to shift focus off her own mistake and back onto a vague moral high ground. Yep, that's another thing these sort of people love to do.
Moral
they love
high
to
ground,
seem morally
classic.
virtuous and superior to others. It's just like I was discussing way earlier in this video with this tweet that she made about the whole, like, I guarantee you Ka-Ching would be doing the work to educate people and do what's best for the people. How she was trying to frame the Union VA's best interest as, like, what's best for the people, implying, like, oh, all the people, this is great for everyone. It's not. It's just them being manipulative. All this apology is missing is an apology. I also apologize for bringing up the public tweet I saw in passing about him purchasing a home. LMAO, she's not sorry about her behavior. She's sorry she...
I thought that was so out of pocket. I saw in him passing about purchasing a home. Are people not allowed to buy homes to live in? You don't know. Maybe it's his first home and he's like 34 years old. Like... what? I don't know. I don't know the context, but at the same time, I feel like it's just so catty and rude to say that.
He's being called out.
I don't know.
She apologized. Oh, excuse me. 1, she apologized way too late. The damage has already been done. 2, if Jacob doesn't accept her apology, I frankly don't
That's
care.
true.
He's the one most hurt
That's
by her
valid.
actions anyway, not me personally. This one just saying, wow. Let's be honest, the damage is already done. Not... I was wrong to attack Jacob. She said, I shouldn't have made my attacks public. Wow, when is she being replaced? Oh, and then we've got a long comment, but I gotta click view more. 1 second, it's gotta load. Okay, so this is someone saying that they improved her apology for her. Let's take a look. First of all...
improved it for her. You guys know about, like, when people say really rude shit and say, like, oh, I improved this art, I think improving apologies is so funny. When people do that kind of thing, because honestly, it's not even close to the same as people, like, saying correcting, like, art in that way. And saying, oh, I'm gonna change the lighting or the color of the skin of this character. This is an apology and it's not even good.
I realized my criticism of Jacob should have never been public. Involving fans was not necessary and only caused more strife.
Wow!
I also apologize for bringing up the tweet I saw in passing about him purchasing a home.
Yes, yes. This is already so much better. I was about to say, they cut out the first paragraph and it already seems way more sincere.
It was wrong of me to use that as an argument that he didn't need this one job to make ends meet. None of that is any of my business.
True.
I don't want it to be. And it didn't matter to the point I was trying to make at all. I did send him a message privately on April 2nd to apologize about getting the public further involved and explain why we were upset. Also that, at least personally, there are no feelings of hatred or any hopes of ill will personally or professionally. I don't know him, but I thought about what I would do if a friend or close colleague did something I found hurtful to our community, and I would have indeed not responded publicly. I would have confronted them directly.
I personally would have cut out this last part too. This is so wishy-washy, like our community, and I would have not responded publicly. I would have confronted directly. It's like, no, it's still none of your fucking business. At the end of the day, he's taking on a job, but it's good enough. It's good enough.
Saying improved it for her. 3 out of 10 apology. See me after class. I genuinely still hope all of the people who attacked him get fired. The next comment reading, I'm sorry you're mad. How can a grown woman be this pathetic? This reads as extremely performative and as, I'm saying this only for you to piss off. PR failed hard here. When speaking an apology, how you say it matters the most. When it's written, what is said is the most important. If she spoke this but sounded appropriately apologetic, then it would likely have gone just fine. This, though in writing, just sounds completely the opposite. She doesn't sound sorry at all, nor like she accepts accountability in any way.
Chat, do you think that if she wrote this with ChatGPT, it would have probably come across as better? I think writing in all the personal stuff, and I feel like it would have been tons better. Probably, yeah. I thought she did. No, because there's a lot of, like, direct little attacks, like emotional attacks or, like, emotional weigh-ins in an apology that shouldn't be there. The AI would not include that.
Wasn't she the one saying, being on the right side of history feels nice? Oh my gosh, yeah, that was one of the ones I forgot to show earlier. I don't think I showed that one. I knew there was some other comments I was forgetting that she made, or like tweets that she made. Yeah, so you can see right here, Valeria Rodriguez, the VA for Sucrose, said, lost 400 followers for a couple of thumbs down and calling out entitlement in a fan base. Oh well, it is what it is. I appreciate everyone who's thought critically and supports what's going on and has integrity. This article actually put it really eloquently. And linking to an article on PC Gamer talking about
Diabolical Genshin Impact's English cast gives new VO the cold shoulder.
About the backlash.
That's
that
a
Jacob
title
got,
for
but essentially
sure.
like justifying it inside
PC Gamer, by the way.
This is something I covered weeks ago, pointing out how terrible that article was and how it just had overtly false information as well, which actually gets community noted here. So yeah, you can see they say the article lied and said John Patton-Watt had been voicing Kaniche for 5 years. Kaniche first debuted in the game 6 months ago, and John had only voiced him for one patch, 6 weeks.
They couldn't even get the, like, facts straight. God, gaming journalists, man. It's your fucking job!
Genshin Impact itself isn't 5 years old yet. So yeah, it's basically what
it's like 4.5. I remember it came out right as COVID popped off. It was like 2020 November? Maybe December? I don't know.
Said in my video too.
Even I know that. I don't play that shit game. Holy.
And that takes us to Kaylee Mills' response, where Kaylee Mills said, thank you.
Being on the right side of history feels nice. I hate that word so much. Not that word, that sentence. I hate that sentence, bro. Being on the right side of history. Do you realize that the people that win the war write the right side of history? Asmongold said this before, and I'm paraphrasing, and so I'm sorry if it's not exact one-to-one, but if the Nazis won the war, we would not be in this position. Yeah, think about that.
Being on the right side of history feels nice. Bro, oh my gosh. So yeah, I think it's going to be too jarring for me to include all this context.
Yeah, the winners write history, not the losers.
Like this response and everything, unfortunately. But if you made it this far in the video, thank you. And yeah, there's something else crazy. And one final thing that I'll point out here is the irony of Valeria Rodriguez talking about critical thinking and sharing an article that has overtly false information. Anyways, guys, back over to Reddit, continuing our game, the game of how long it takes to find a positive comment actually supporting Kaylee Mills' apology. And I actually don't have time to continue this game. I gotta go soon, and it's gonna take a while to upload this video and everything. So yeah, so far we haven't seen a positive comment. And scrolling now, not even reading, just scrolling, and I still don't see any of them. So yeah, I guess I'll call it there. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the coverage. If you did, please consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.
Oh, mama. Goodness gracious me. Clappies! Clappies in the chat. Yeah, I don't know. If you're gonna apologize, don't go to Blue Sky and say that you only apologize because you were basically kind of guilted into it, or you don't actually feel any remorse about it. Also, maybe run your apology through ChatGPT and make sure that there's no bias or emotion to it. That might also help a lot.